What's up, guys? So, I'm not very good at this, but I feel like I have to say something. Today, we lost somebody that's very important in the pinstriping, sign painting, custom culture world. I'm talking about my buddy, Ron Hernandez. And it's crazy because the reason I feel like I have to say something is E.T. was my mentor. He taught me everything that I knew, everything that I needed to learn to grow in this art world, in this custom culture world. E.T. is the one that got me into it. I feel like because of E.T., I got to meet and see a lot of the legends from here from Arizona that sorry, I'm talking really slow because it's really hard for me to talk about this, but yeah, E.T. is the reason why I feel like I have any respect. People like Bugs, Tony, Ron, the Butcher. I feel like he's the reason. I feel like E.T. is the reason that any of those guys even know who I am, or they gave me any respect, you know. And one thing that really sticks out is when I would hear a lot of people talk about Ron. Before I was in the, in the pinstriping world, I was still learning. E.T. was teaching me, and I would hear a lot of stories about Ron, about Bugs, about Tony, the Butcher, and E.T. always looked up to those guys. Even though some of them were even younger than him, he always showed love for them. He introduced me to them. He would talk about them like they were the best at what they do. And he did the same with Ron. Every time he would talk about Ron, it would be like, man, you got to see this guy's lines. You got to see this guy's art. You got to see his cars. And then I would hear things from other people where they were just like talking smack, And it wasn't until later that I realized there's people that are going to be talking smack. Doesn't matter, These other people were putting one picture in my head of certain artists like Ron. They would talk about Ron like, oh yeah, he's a a-hole or whatever. But then E.T. would give me a whole different story, and he would talk about Ron in a different light. So I always wanted to meet him, but I was like, that's gonna happen when it happens. And then E.T. used to have these brush bashes every October. It was just for pinstripers and custom painters. He had them at Trafficade here in Phoenix. It was actually right down the street from here, from my shop. And I finally met Ron. He pulled up in his Merc. Baddest car I had ever seen in person, because I had never even really gone to car shows at the time or nothing. I was just kind of doing my own thing. And he comes out of the car, and I was just like not knowing what to expect. And of course, I'm not gonna go introduce myself. I'm not the kind of person that's gonna go up and be like, "Hey, Ron," or "Hey, Bugs," or anything like that. I was just like, "Oh man, that's Ron. Huh? All right, cool." And that was the first year. I want to say this was like 2008 or 2009. And that was the first year that I actually went to E.T.'s panel jam, and I brought some signs that I had painted. And I don't even know what those look like. I don't think I took enough photos of my stuff back then because I didn't think it was good. But I remember Ron coming up to my booth, because I had a little booth there, and he saw a sign that I had done. I had recreated the Metal Militia logo because I really liked the letters and the style of the art from the Metal Militia logo. So I had recreated it. I cut it out of wood. It was a big wooden cutout. It said Metal Militia with the skull on it and all that. I mean, it looked just like the logo because, I mean, I probably projected it or somehow I pounced it or something onto the wood and then painted it. I don't even remember how I did it, but it did look good. That one I do remember because of this story that I'm about to tell you. Ron came up to my booth and he saw the sign and he goes, "How much do you want for this sign?" And I was like, I think I told him something ridiculous like $100 or something, right? And it took me hours to do. It was all on wood, all painted with one shot. It should have been a lot more than that. And Ron goes, "I'll tell you what." He goes, I'll buy it off of you, but I also want to do a trade. And I was like, heck yeah, I would love a panel from you. And he goes, "Where's your shop?" And there's a lot that I learned in this, just from this encounter with him, right? He goes, "Where's your shop?" I said, "I don't have a shop. I work out of my garage at home." And he said, "Don't ever say that." He goes, "That's your shop." He goes, "If somebody asks where your shop is, then that's your shop." And I was like, "Oh shoot, yeah, all right, cool. You know, whatever you say." I didn't say that, but you know, in my head I was like, "Oh shit, all right, cool, yeah, that's my shop then." So I told him where it was, and this was on a Saturday. Dude, Ron goes, "I'll be there tomorrow morning, and I'll paint a panel for you, and we'll do a trade." This is my first time meeting him. And sorry, man, I know I'm getting a little teary-eyed, but I'm trying to push through this because this meant a lot to me. So he comes to my house the next morning, and it's crazy. I'm looking at pictures of him right now. Sorry. He comes to my house, and he was there to basically like give me some knowledge, man. He starts asking where my paints are, where my brushes are. He didn't bring anything. He just showed up. So I start pulling my brushes out. I start pulling my paints out. He's like, "Do you have panels?" And that was one thing I always had, is I always had panels, empty ones, brand new ones. I would go to a couple places around town that I knew would cut metal or would cut plastic, and I would ask for their scraps. So I had tons of panels, and that's what I usually practiced on at the time. So I give him a panel, and he just starts striping. But as he's striping, he's like telling me, he's like, "Hey, you need to raise up your prices." And I was like, you know, okay, like, how do I do that? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be pricing my stuff at, you know? Because with ET, I was just learning. I wasn't selling anything yet. That was my first time selling a panel. He bought my first panel ever. That means a lot. It's gonna be for the rest of my life. My first panel, my first painting, like my first thing went to Ron. And he had told me at the brush bash it was for his kid, because his kid really loved Metal Militia at the time. But back to the story, he's like, "You need to raise your prices." And then he starts schooling me on how having low prices can hurt, basically can hurt the industry. And he went on. He was there for, man, he must have been there for like 3 hours just teaching me. There's a lot of stuff he taught me. I'm not gonna talk about the whole 3 hours, but there's the one thing that he started with right away was my sign was too cheap. And you know, like any artist that's starting off, I was like, bro, I'm not that good, so I'm not gonna sell them for the same price that you're selling yours. And he was like, no, I know, but you need to raise your prices. You need to still be up there with your prices, because you could hurt the industry and it's gonna hurt you in the long run. And while he was there, he knocked out that panel, and it was cool. It was a badass panel. I still have it. Actually, hold on. Let me go get it real quick. All right, this is the panel right here. It's wrapped in saran wrap because I was trying to protect it, and I didn't put a frame on it or anything. I just have had it. You can see the signature right there. I wish he would have dated it. But this was the first panel I ever got from Ron. This was the trade for my first sign ever painted. It's amazing, perfect quality lines. But I learned a lot that day, and I respected him for that. If anybody ever talks smack about him, I won't let it happen in front of me. He's a great dude, man. And I remember we became good friends after that. And one thing that I remember as well, in 2016, I was offered the opportunity to do my first panel jam, to put together my first panel jam. I was pinstriping at Tony Perez's at his panel jam at the Indoor Super Show at the here in Phoenix downtown. But these guys came up to me, they asked if I could run a panel jam at the Indoor Super Show. I told them to go talk to Tony, because Tony was in charge of that panel jam, and I didn't know if they thought maybe I was in charge or something. I didn't want to step on any toes. Plus, I had never even put a panel jam together at the time, so I was like, no, go talk to Tony. So I took them over to Tony, and then Tony said, no, you should do this. So Tony gave me the confidence to say, like, okay, I'll do it. And I put together a panel jam in 2016. Oh, was it 2015? 2015 or 2016, I don't know. I still have the flyers saved. But I remember it was just a bunch of artists that I knew. I got One Shot to sponsor it. Luckily, that was cool. But I didn't invite, like, Tony already had his own booth. Bugs had his own booth. I knew Ron doesn't do car shows. His whole thing was like, I stripe all day, every day. Why do I want to stripe at a car show? I'm here to enjoy the car show. So I didn't invite him to my panel jam. I knew he was going to be there. Like, he's going to go to the car show, but I didn't invite him to paint. And I took a break during the panel jam. Sorry, this story is just like, I just want to talk about Ron, basically, right? So I'm walking, I take a break from the panel jam because it was getting pretty hectic. And I go into the building because our panel jam was outside. I go into the building and I'm walking around checking out the cars. And I see Ron, and he's like, he calls me over and he's like, I need to talk to you, man. And I was like, shoot, what did I do, I felt like I was in trouble. Like, you could just tell by the way he was talking to me. And he's like, and he put his arm around me, and he comes up and he's like, how come you didn't invite me to your panel jam, dude? I thought we were friends. He goes, friends invite each other to each other's panel jams or whatever. I forget how he said it, but I was like, bro, I didn't know. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't think you would go. You said you don't do car shows, And he said, no. I didn't say I would come to your panel jam, but I'm saying you should have invited me. And I thought that was the funniest thing, but he was just a funny dude, man. I would run into him at car shows all the time. Santa Maria, he was at Santa Maria all the time. I would run into him at the Grand Nationals. I got photos with him at the Grand Nationals. The last time I ever saw him was just recently. We had a little get together for the Butcher. If you don't know who the Butcher is, his name's Butch Tucker. He's from here, from Arizona. Probably the biggest legend in pinstriping here in Arizona. Amazing pinstriper, but that's for another story. If I decide to do another story like this, but yeah, man, we lost a legend, and that's not a word that gets thrown around. That, you know, I don't use that word lightly. Like Ron Hernandez, the Butcher, Eddie Torres, Bugs, Tony Perez. Those were the biggest names with the baddest pinstriping here in Arizona that I have always looked up to. But I just wanted to come on here and pay my respect. And I'm sorry if I offend anybody by, you know, putting this video on. I know my condolences to the family, but I felt like I had to say something because I was just sitting here thinking about all the stories, all the times we got to hang out. There's times when I'd be at doing a job for somebody, and I'd see pinstriping on something in whatever location I'm striping in, and I could just tell it was Ron. But I don't know, I'll talk more about him and say more stories, you know, in the future for the rest of my life. But we lost ET, and now we lost Ron. You know, cherish your family, cherish your friends, cherish yourself, your time that you have here on this earth. He was still young, man, and he was an amazing artist. Being an artist and living off your art is not easy, and he did really well. I aspire to be more like him for sure. But sorry about this sad post. Thank you guys for tuning in, and hopefully I don't make any more like this, any more videos like this. But rest in peace, Ron. The custom culture world is definitely gonna miss you, and man, just to know that we're not gonna be seeing any new designs from you, that's crazy, man. See you guys later.